Hey guys, it is Ted Bogert. Happy Friday. We're back with the TED Show, TGIF. I am super excited anytime we have a musical talent on, but really excited to have Tony Nguyen on the show. Wind meets West. We're going to talk about his journey from software engineer to singer-songwriter, and he's going to perform for us live toward the end of the show. I'm very excited. Tony, happy Friday. Welcome.
Happy Friday. What's up, y'all?
All right. So people, before we get into the musical part, people love to know the journey, and you have such an interesting journey. So tell us a little bit about you and then kind of how you found your way into music.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if people know this about immigrant kids, specifically like folks of the Asian diaspora, but a lot of us are pushed into music when we're younger because, for example, my parents, they love music. My dad, he played guitar like he was like a hippie who went to like UCSB. And then my mom like has always wanted to be a singer. But you know, growing up like as an immigrant, like immigrants to America, like they didn't really have the time to like learn instruments like in a deep way and then experience music on that kind of level. So they push it onto their kids so they can live vicariously through them. So my parents pushed me into music at a young age. I started with piano. I didn't really like it. But how that changed was I got into band because my brother played trombone. And you know how little brothers are. I'm the little brother. He's the older brother. He was on copy our older siblings. So I'm like, I want to play trombone. But it was like, I was like such a scrawny little kid. So my mom was like, trombone's not for you. You can play trumpet. So I got into trumpet. And that's where I learned the first thing I love most about music, which is the communal aspect. Being able to play trumpet with my friends in an ensemble was like this really eye-opening, life-changing experience to feel like what it's like to make music with other people and have other people listen to it and have that collective experience. So that was like stop number one on the music journey. Stop number two was I played trumpet and I was getting okay at it. But then I picked up Guitar Hero and I was like, oh,
that's
these
a
are songs like, yeah. Okay. So people underrate how important Guitar Hero is to so many kids who are my age. Like how it got me into guitar because I loved all these like rock songs. So, you know, my dad, you know, growing up, he was from both my parents were from Vietnam, but my dad studied in the States at UCSB and he got into like that kind of music. So like, you know, Jimi Hendrix, Joni Mitchell, Whitney Houston, but like that kind of like, you know, dad rock kind of thing. So I'd always grown up listening to those songs and I had gotten into Red Hot Chili Peppers and Coldplay, all these guitar based bands. So picking up Guitar Hero and like seeing, oh, I could play the songs. I can play the songs, you know, with an actual guitar. So I picked it up in 6th grade. And that was my first journey into, music that I listen to and want to play. And then I would say another sub-stop on that journey is like learning how to write my own songs because, oh man, I haven't told this story before, but why not?
Please,
I came up. Yeah. So basically my friend went through this awful middle school breakup where the person just ghosted him. And I was like, I could write a song about that. Like, I didn't even start writing songs about myself at first. My first song was about another person and like their breakup and their terrible story. And I'd been listening to Oasis at the time. So it was basically an Oasis ripoff. But that quickly devolved into me writing about my sad feelings and being a sad boy in my angsty middle school room, being like, my feelings. Girls don't like me back. You know, and like word vomiting on the page. But that was really important for me in my musical journey because that's kind of like the completion of that cycle, which is I started music like with friends and like to make friends and be with my peers. But over time, it became more of a personal journey as I was growing into young adulthood and realizing, oh, music is a way to express myself and tell my story.
Was the songwriting, was it hard? Obviously, most songwriters I talk to, they progress, right? You start off with the stuff that rhymes and it's all pretty and it's all poetic. And they begin to progress as they get older and feel things and experience more things. Is that how your songwriting went? Did you start off simple and then all of a sudden it got a little more deeper?
Yeah, I would say I started off writing only about girls, you know, and girls I was pursuing and all the unrequited love because I was so angsty. That's how I started writing. And to be honest, I hadn't really outgrown that until very recently. That's getting a little ahead, but basically to condense the rest of it, I found my voice, my actual writing voice, so not like Oasis ripoffs or John Mayer ripoffs. Like I'd studied jazz and all these different things in university and in high school, and I'd studied like blues, really really deeply. And I didn't really get into pop music until way later. Because basically in university, I was doing all these different things. I was in jazz ensembles, I was in musical theater ensembles, but I just needed to find a way to express myself. And I found that through pop music. So when I left university and left that like bubble of jazz and musical theater and like other like basically acoustic instruments, when I moved to New York, I realized that I can't really collaborate anymore. So I found music production. Before I left uni, I was always like, oh, I'm a songwriter first, and the music production is just to get the songs out there. But lately, especially now, like we have to make music alone, like in COVID, and we have to make music like that we can share with other people through files, through digitally.
Yeah,
so
and share it in a different way, because I think having an audience and having people respond is such a big feed to your soul and to your creativity. And so you've had to come up with creative ways to still do that in the world of Zoom and all of this like we're doing today. You've got to figure out a different way to touch the audience.
Yeah, exactly. And another amazing thing about like digital music and like music made on your computer or made with synths and stuff is like I have all the colors of the rainbow. It's not just a guitar and piano anymore. And as much as I love the basics, like there's something really beautiful about that. So that's why I do digital music now. And that's why
where does software engineer come in to
yes.
that? Was there a detour that you took, or did you keep going with music even when you were on that journey?
So I just talked about my whole life, right? I'm like, oh, music this, music that. Music is so important. Music was my whole life. Music was like my important thing. But at the back of my, like the part I always leave out in the story is like, in the back of my mind, I always had my parents in mind, which is they grew up like in Vietnam and came here and sacrificed so much. And they like always wanted me to have a stable life. And I've been told that my whole entire life, stability is the key to happiness. Stability is the key to happiness. That's how you get what you like need in life. Like music's just a hobby. So hearing that all the time as a kid, I didn't really believe I could be a musician. I didn't believe that was an option. Like my mom would always tell me, oh, being a musician, like, do you want to be a bum? Like she would just tell me that. And that really negatively affected my view of that as a career. So when I went to university, yeah, I talk a lot about music, but I double majored in music and computer science because computer science is this really big fad right now among university students because, you know, it's true. Like if you get a good software engineering job and you like it, it is really stable. It's a really good gig. I'm not discounting being a software engineer. I was one. I think it's a really good gig if you like it. But how that changed was I had basically done everything right as an Asian American. So as an Asian American, you're told like you can be an engineer, doctor, etc. Right? You're told that if you do these things right, you can get a good career, have a nice stable job, find someone to marry and have kids. And I realized like growing up in New York, like as a young adult, that just wasn't really clicking for me. In fact, I mean, this is getting really personal, but basically I just wanted to die. Like I had reached that point in my life where I was so fundamentally unhappy with what I was doing, who I was. I would just like wake up every day and like lay in bed for an hour and try to drag myself out of bed to work. And that was the turning point of like, oh, this isn't working anymore. And I need to do something different. I have to change. And that's why I realized my whole life, I've wanted to do music, but didn't let myself go there. Like, I didn't feel like I deserved to be a musician. I didn't think I could be an artist. I didn't think people would listen to my music. I didn't think any of this stuff. But I just realized at that point, there's nothing to lose. So I just did it. I made a plan. I quit. I saved money. And then here I am a year later, like making a living.
It's such, first of all, thank you for sharing that part because I believe there's a lot of people out there like you that were feeling, no matter what their career choices are, we're feeling like, I just don't want to go on. There's nothing about my life that I find interesting or stimulating. And so you go through this period of going, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And then it becomes a depression or an anxiety or a combination of all of the above. And it's very hard to dig yourself out. But you're a prime example of how you can dig yourself out, how you can, because it all goes back to your purpose. It goes back to what motivates you, which obviously music is the number one thread in your entire fabric of who you are and what you want to do.
Exactly. And moreover, I feel like I've learned so much for being it. I've only been at this for a year. So I've learned so much in just the course of a year of like what it's like to be not only a musician, but also an artist. Because when I left my job, I was still in that mindset of, oh, I need stability. I was like, I'm going to be a songwriter. I'm going to be a producer. I'm going to work with other artists. That's my primary means of income, my primary purpose, that's it. But as I've like become into myself and like figure out the music I want to make and the stories I want to tell, I've realized like, yeah, that's going to be important. I love working with other artists. That's great.
Yes.
But being an artist is also important to me, and it is important to those in my community because so some other background about me, like I also run a songwriting group for other Asian Americans, and seeing like how my peers are affected by me being so open about my career journey, about my mental health issues, and about like how the struggles and the triumphs, and opening up that channel of knowledge to allow others to imagine themselves in that way. And I think as an artist, that's what's really, really important to me. My big mission, like the music is almost secondary to this mission of, I want people to see themselves in the way they want to be seen, not in the ways that people tell them. Because my whole life I've been told, you can only be these things. And even if you do the thing that you want to do, you can only do the thing with like, for example, my parents, I love them and they support me in my music now, but they're still like, so when are you going to get your high school teaching credential and find a stable job? I'm like, that's not what I want. Like,
well, because it appears like it's a hobby to them because they don't understand there's traditional jobs that make money and traditional ways of thinking about your occupation and your career. And music is usually the one that parents go, you know how hard that is? Do you know how difficult that is to make money? It comes from a place I know of, because I have 3 kids, of like, you're worried about them. But as soon as you accept the fact that this is their passion, which is what your parents obviously have begun to do, if not already did, then you realize, well, of course you want them to be happy. That's really the whole bottom line. We want you all to be happy. We want people to be happy. That's why I love what you're doing on the Pay It Forward side. You're helping other artists come into their own and be able to express it and make it their life's career rather than some side hobby.
Exactly. And I'm not saying the stable job plus your hobby thing is a bad thing. I think plenty of folks are happy with that option, and that's amazing. I just want people to see that there are other paths in life that aren't what we're told growing up. Like we're told growing up that it's the 9 to 5 or nothing. And then anything outside of that's just a hobby. Like I think, especially nowadays with how powerful the internet is, how powerful my own, like you can market yourself for free, right? And you can create this whole different identity for yourself for free. And you can get yourself out there and your name out there and your work. And if you make amazing work, it'll get out there for free, right? I think there's a lot of power in that to build your own kind of career and build your own kind of lifestyle that you want. Because a big reason why I love being a freelancer, love being a musician, is that I get to make my own schedule, create my own life on my terms. Whereas I didn't, like I said, like I was dragging myself out of bed for someone else's schedule when I was in like, when I was working as a software engineer. That's not what I wanted out of my life. And I don't think that's the option for everybody.
So many people do that though. They drag themselves out of bed. They're existing rather than living because they've probably been told, like you were, this is your steady job, so it pays the bills, but it doesn't fulfill you. There's an emptiness still if you're not doing what you know the gifts are that you've been given to do with the world. So I have to ask you, Wind meets West. Tell us what that means and what the background is on that.
So there's the logistical part and the poetic part. I'll start with the logistical. Wind sounds my last name, Nguyen, Nguyen. A lot of folks don't know how to pronounce that because it's not a standard last name necessarily. But Wind, so people don't mispronounce my last name. So that's close enough. Meets West is because I'm from LA, and so that's the reason Meets West is there because my hometown's LA, and I like to keep that. And the poetic reason why I have this name is that I like to carry with me a bit of like who I am, everywhere. Like it encompasses me. Like it's my last name plus where I grew up. And I think carrying that in my artistic identity is super important to show people this is who I am. This is what I carry with me. Like this is what you're gonna get. Like no.
I know you've only been doing this for a year, but you've got like an old soul approach to things. So kudos to you because I think that's awesome. You have thought through because I think that's important when a lot of people realize they don't like what they're doing, but they don't know what it is that they should be doing. And so you've embraced that. And guys, he's not Tony's not saying that the journey is easy, but if you're on the journey and you're going toward the thing that you know you're passionate about, it's such a beautiful thing when you make those steps and you make the progress like you've done. You're going to sing for us, so I want to talk a little bit about your music. How would you describe your musical style? And then tell us what motivates you, what helps you write a song? What is the thing that normally gets you? Is it everyday things? Is it all emotion? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
For sure. So I would call my music emotional pop. I want my music to feel like, I want it to feel, when you listen to my music, I want it to feel like a warm hug that's telling you everything's going to be okay. A big reason why I love music is when you listen to someone and you hear their story, like, no, it's not necessarily, like, they didn't write it about you, but it is about you, because we can put ourselves in these emotional spaces with people. My favorite scientific fact about music is when you're in the room with someone and everyone's in the room together, an audience, this is why I miss live music so much. With an audience is listening to a performer, like, everyone's brain is syncing up with the same emotion. And I think that's the same feeling we feel when we listen to a song that we really connect with. Yes. So when people listen to my songs, I want them to feel their own story within it and resonate and feel like they're not alone in this world. So that's how I would describe in terms of like the emotional content. But I make pop music, pretty pop music. Like, my voice is pretty. The stuff I do is pretty. Like, I want it to feel good and feel like, but also I want to push you into that place of catharsis. You know, it's like slowly sad bops, slowly pushing you into that place of, oh, wait, these are my emotions. What?
What? I have to feel something. What?
Yeah. And in terms of what I write about,
that kind of music, in my opinion, when you feel something, whatever it is, and you're touched and it hits your spirit, your soul. That's why music is so powerful. Because it's your experience that you're writing about, but because we all have these universal feelings about so many different things, it's so cool to be able to reach more people. All right, so what do you tell us? You're going to perform 2 songs, I think.
Yeah.
And give us a little history, a little bit about the first one. And I'm gonna move camera so you are front and center. And then you go when you're ready, once you give us a description. I'm super excited to hear you perform.
Yeah, sure. So it's very topical, actually, because I just released a new song today. This one's called Tomorrow. And it's a song it's for all the people who have been out there and have been told, this isn't a possibility for you. You can't just do what you want with your life. You can't pursue your dreams. You can't, like, take things into account, right? And this was told a lot by my parents, because they grew up in a certain world, right? They grew up as Vietnamese immigrants whose main goal in life was to find stability. But I realized that sometimes other people don't have all the answers. They don't have your life experience. They don't know what the world you live in. So this is a song for those folks who know what they want to do, know the reality of who they are and what affects them, and like what they want to do, what drives them. And this is your call to tomorrow. Take it on. My life's more than just a bank account, more than all my self-doubt. It's high before crashing down. When I wake up in the afternoon, feeling trapped inside my bedroom, I don't know what to do. The dream my parents have for me doesn't fit what I believe. There's so much more to see. All the possibilities on the road ahead of me. 'Cause one day you'll see, tomorrow'll be the day. Tomorrow'll be the day. Now that you're not around, what do my dreams amount to? It's more than what you found, yeah. Live living somewhere in the clouds, waiting for me to come crashing down. I'm living in the now. If I crash, I can take it better than not taking a chance on myself. A chance on myself. The dream my parents had for me doesn't fit what I believe. There's so much more to see. All the possibilities on the road ahead of me. 'Cause one day you'll see, tomorrow will be the day. Tomorrow will be the day. Tomorrow will be the, I know I'll fly. I know I'll be alright. I know I'll fly. I know I'll be alright.
That was so good.
Thank you.
That was so good. You know, I take myself off of these mainly because I want you all to be focused. But, you know, sometimes you get choked up when you hear that stuff. Those words are beautiful. I loved the fact I felt like you were talking to yourself, too. Those words were for you and for anybody else. So beautiful. Absolutely. So what, did you just come up with that one day? Were you feeling like you needed to get a message? Were you trying to help yourself? Like what? I always like to hear the little bit of the story behind the song.
Yeah, for sure. So that song is my first song with this new band I'm in called Set Voy. Set plus Voy, V-O-I. We released that song today, so go check it out. But the story behind it was, like I told you earlier, like my parents have been like, when are you going to get a high school credential? When are you going to go back to software engineering? When are you going to quit this thing? And I just was so frustrated with them. And so, to be honest, angry at them. Like, why aren't you supporting me? Why aren't you? Like, I've told you over and over again, like, this is what I want to do. And my bandmates, they're also Asian American. And they also feel the same way. Like, their parents don't really understand that there's more to life outside of like the stable 9 to 5. Yes. But talking with them more and like realizing that in my like privilege of being a child of immigrants rather than being the immigrant who came here, like I have the privilege as like from their sacrifices to actualize myself and like actually go after my dreams. Whereas their main focus was survival, stability, providing this life for their kids. And this song is me reckoning with that. Like, yes, like there are things they don't know. There are things that like that they cannot comprehend because that's not their reality. That's not what they grew up with. And I can't fault them for that, but I can acknowledge that for myself and keep moving forward and keep pursuing my dreams every day into tomorrow, into forever. Beautiful.
All right. So song number 2, tell us about it.
Yeah, sure. Let's do this one. So this is my last single and it's called If I Go. So much like a lot of my songs, it comes from a struggle. And I have been debating whether or not to move back to LA because my parents are getting older. They're 73, 70 respectively. And this song is me trying to reckon with, you know, I could go back home. I could go support them in their house by the sea because we grew up at the beach. Or I could stay in New York and really hash it out here because I had been done with New York. I had been frustrated with the community, with myself, with my personal problems. But sometimes you realize that you can't just run away from your problems. Sometimes you just have to stick it out and really invest in the relationships you have. So this song, using my partner, my current partner, as a way to process it, is me accepting that, you know, I can stick it out in New York because there's so much I would miss if I just give up on it. I'm moved here when I was young, halfway through 21. Fell in love with the idea of being in love. Time will tell if you're the one. When we met, I planned on moving back to LA in the summertime. But ever since the snow stopped falling, New York never seemed so bright. If I go, will I come back to Mom and Dad, the house by the sea? If I go, there's no me and you. No, you and I in NYC. I'm seeing stars before the sunrise, tracing lines under city lights. You're the melody I never thought I'd write. I lost some quiets in the night. If I go, will I come back to Mom and Dad, the house by the sea? If I go, there's no me and you. No, you and I in NYC. Now I wonder, do I choose to stay? Fractured sidewalks or sand beneath my feet. Mom and Dad are miles and miles away, but New York, I choose this family. But in New York, I'm choosing you and me. If I go, I will come back to Mom and Dad, the house by the sea, by the sea, by the sea. If I go, there's no me and you. No, you and I in NYC. No, you and I in NYC. Thank you.
I loved that. When you first started playing the piano or keyboard, the first thing that came to mind was that group, that Five for Fighting. And I just loved the sound of that. The Superman, I think, is their song, or they have a whole bunch of songs. But then I immediately got lost in the words and just the way it sounded. It was beautiful. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love Five for Fighting, so thank you for that. That's the best compliment.
Yes. Yeah. No, when you first started playing it, it just all of a sudden I'm like, that's what it reminds me of. But you obviously have your own talent and art, and I forgot about that at all. I really just was focusing on how awesome you were. You had a lot of love and comments on that, which you can get to later. I want to tell people how they can get to you. So is the best way for them to find your music, find out about you, is windmeetswest.com, or you tell us how we can get your songs, how we can get the brand new release that you sang earlier. Give us some info so we can reach out to you.
For sure. So my website works, windmeetswest.com. The best way to follow my journey is through also social media. So Wind Meets West on all the platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, if you're into that. I released a new song today called Tomorrow, so TMRW, because we're indie, with my new band Set Plus Voy. So Set Voy is how we say it, but it's Set plus VOI. You can find that on all streaming platforms. If you like my original song, If I Go, that's also on all streaming platforms. Just search up Wind Meets West. But basically, TLDR, if you search Wind Meets West on anything, you will find me, and I'd love to get to know you, come to my show. Oh, I also have a show tomorrow if you'd like to come, a release show of my band.
Tell us.
Yeah, for sure. I can link in the comments, but I have a release show tomorrow with my band. It's on Facebook. There's a Facebook event. You can find it also if you just go to my either my website or my social media platforms. That's the best way to find it. Oh, can I type it?
Yeah, please do.
How do I do that actually?
You go into the chat, or you know what? You can, Steve, he'll post it afterward. It's easier for you to do it right after.
Yeah, I'll do it right after. So I'll post all this information in the comments.
Fantastic. You're a joy. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart and soul with us. I loved absolutely every second of it. It's www.windmeetswest.com, Steve. Anybody else who's looking, it's scrolling across the bottom there if you need it. Thank you for coming on. I really, really loved that, Tony. And I want you to come back anytime. Next time you have a release or you want to promote, I'd love to hear you sing anytime. You're awesome.
Thanks for having me. This was amazing. You're a great interviewer, and thanks for all y'all for tuning in. I hope you have a lovely day.
Everybody have a great day. Have fun in Brooklyn. All right, guys. Hey. Tony Nguyen, reach out to him. windmeetswest.com. Get those singles that he just performed with his heart and soul. Have a great Friday, my friend. Thank you, Tony.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll see you guys later.